guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Afi and I am back again with another video. I'm so excited to do these videos. Honestly, I feel like I've said that in the past like 3 videos that I've done. They're all done on the same day, just disclaimer. And of course I'm just differently or whatever, but ultimately I'm just really excited for this, honestly. And I want to remember this feeling because before you get to filming, and I say filming very loosely. I felt, you know what I always felt like, when like YouTubers go, oh yeah, today's a filming day, and I've always been like, that's not filming, I'm just taking a video. But it truly is, honestly speaking. And today I did the whole YouTuber thing and took photos in my clothes. Like, bro, I think I'm like, just trying. Anyway, welcome back to my channel. My name is Afi. I'm back again with another video, and very excited to be back. I think the secret is to just get into it, to be honest. So today's video is more like old style type of videos. I think the past 2 videos have been very like out of what I usually do. And I mean, and I wouldn't say that what I don't want to say what I usually do, because I don't want to say that I have already sort of like found my niche. I think that's very constricting. So I just want to say that I mean, this is more of stuff that I've done in the past, basically. And as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking about cussing today. I know, cussing and using profanities. That is I think it's a very touchy topic. It's one that I have actually moved back and forth about. Just because, I mean, it's personal. Like, it's a personal topic. It's something that affects me personally, and I say affect very loosely. I just say it's something that is in my life. And so yeah, I just basically wanted to give a bit of a history of when I started cussing, or like just using profanities. And I feel like and I think the reason why I was so scared to do this video is because essentially, like, it's scary to put it out there that like I do this thing that may not show that I'm a perfect human being. And I guess this is also a step in me just getting to the place where I'm not a perfect human being, and I have to accept it myself, because I know I'm not, but then I still don't know that I'm not. So anyway, I basically started using profanities when I was maybe 13 years old. I think that's when my memory of like saying something that was not a clean word is like, that's when I first have a memory of that. And I don't think I actually remember when the actual moment was. I think when I was 13, that's when I started. That's basically what I've been telling people since I was like 15, so I guess let's go with that. And I mean, of course, when you start using words that are not clean words, you're ashamed, you're afraid of using them in front of your parents, you are afraid of using them in front of anybody who is not like in your family. And it's just a scary thing, right? And like, I don't know, I just think it's scary for you to use this word that is not a good word, that everybody knows is a bad word, that you've been told is a bad word, but you're using it anyway. And so it's all surrounded by shame and fear. And that's initially, right? And then as it progresses, you get into conversations with people, and they're like, oh no, I don't cuss only when I'm angry, or I only do it occasionally. And in your brain you're thinking, oh wow, and I do it all the time. Or maybe not even all the time, maybe it's not even as part of your vocabulary, but you use it a lot. Not a lot, like you just use it, basically. So that was basically it. And the reason why I thought this is an important video to have is because I think the whole idea of using profanities, or just using words that are not clean words, is very like frowned upon. And I'm not here to be like, don't use them. If you are, you're going to hell. And I'm not here to be like, I'm a shiny thing, and I'm not here to say use them as much as you want. I'm not on either extreme. I think sometimes in the world, and I feel like I say this so many times, even to people that I have conversations with, I'm always saying like, we are so polarized in the world that it's like you have to be on this extreme or on this extreme. And I guess at the end of the day, I'm a person of faith, and we talk about good and evil. And essentially, even I think there's a verse in the Bible that basically says that if you're not of like God, then you're of evil or something. And so I mean, I get why things are so polarized, but then I think human beings are complex, and I think life is complex, and you don't have to be on either extreme. You can be in this middle, and I guess maybe even being in the middle is more dangerous, and that's why people don't want you to be in the middle, because if you're in the middle you can fall on either side, right? And so it's dangerous in the sense of like you don't know what's gonna tip you over. But I think essentially, in my opinion, I think being in the middle is a good thing, because it gives you perspective, but not perspective like, it basically just it puts you in a place that you're not biased on either side. You're basically just like a neutral ground, like Switzerland, you know. It's cool. So anyway, this idea of cussing, and as the world has evolved and as we're moving and stuff like that, you see that when people grow older they start to cuss more. So I'm gonna speak on some YouTubers and musicians that I listen to, and just so okay, essentially there's this YouTuber called Lord DIY. She's really really cool. I didn't like her content before. It was very like family friendly, nice, but I found it childish, and not, and I say that very very loosely, because I feel like sometimes I say things and I sound so mature and judgmental, but I'm not. It just wasn't content that I resonated with or anything like that. So I didn't watch her for a very long time. Then in 2020, she went through an entire rebranding where it was like she was using cuss words, but of course she was like bleeping them out, but she was still using them. And then she had a podcast called Wild Till 9, and I basically listened to that podcast. Like, I love that podcast so much. And on that one, she's basically cussing quite a bit, and you know, she's basically her authentic self, you know. And then the next person I want to talk about is Taylor Swift, who basically, I guess she used to use just a bit of like cussing in the middle, and her albums that came out in 2020, 2 albums, they have a lot of explicit songs on them, so there's basically just a lot of cussing and using profanities. And then the next person that I'm going to talk about is Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey has like this thing. I love watching him on YouTube. I think it's so hilarious. Like his show from like 2016 or whatever. It's so funny. And there's an episode where he's talking about cussing, and he's like, anyone who doesn't cuss is lying and blah blah blah. And he just basically talks about how like cussing is good for his soul. You know, it gives him so much energy, and like not energy, but like it just takes out so much like anger and whatever. So anyway, those are the 3 people I'm going to talk about, just as influences sort of. So I think for me, getting to a place where I have to have this conversation is just, I realized that I had been trying to stay, and maybe it wasn't even an intentional decision, but maybe it was a bit, but I realized that when I was only consuming like God content and like just basically God content, let me say, I maybe did not use that many cuss words, and it was actually very like uncomfortable for me as well. And I guess even throughout the years, I mean, it's always been uncomfortable for me even to say it. Sometimes I'm just like and sometimes it's not even the shame, it's just like I just don't like saying some words, and there's some words I cannot absolutely say. I can't. And so I guess it's that thing. So growing up, you see that when people talk about growing up in general, they say growing up in the sense of like, we're going to start drinking, we're going to start cussing, we're going to start, I don't know, just doing a lot of stuff, which is neither good nor bad, nothing like that. That's not what this conversation is about, but it's just that stuff. And it just made me think that like, why can't grow, I mean, I'm not here to take away from the fact that like you showing that your content is adult is you being your most authentic self, which essentially is you cussing and you doing that. But I think for me also, I've had to redefine it in my brain, because I think even as I'm growing up and just like learning to be an adult, actually even as I'm growing up and learning to be an adult, I'm having to redefine so many things that have already been defined by the world, by like people of faith, by just, I'm having to redefine so many things, just because I think we are so intent on being so polarized and being in this one place. And I'm not here to say that, I'm not here to make a declaration that my channel is going to start having cuss words. And the reason why actually the reason why I thought of doing this video is because the video I did in December, I actually sort of slipped and I said something, and I remember feeling very uncomfortable, and like I was like I was like, my heart, and I'm dying and blah blah blah. And I think since then I've become more chill about a lot of things, and I'm still learning to just realize that it's not the end of the world if I say that, but it's ideal that I don't want to say it. But it's not that I don't want to say it because I think somebody's evil. I don't want to say it just because it's a personal preference. And essentially, I had to think about myself representing God. Like even now on the internet, I basically talk a lot about stuff of faith, and so I take myself as a representative of God, and not as a representative like when you see me, you see God, but when you see me, then you see a person who believes in God and who loves God and who, and so in my brain it's like, if I'm loving God, how will I love God? By like just being more clean and being more um and I don't think anyone gets a medal for using cuss words, and I don't think anyone gets a medal for not using cuss words. I just think ultimately life is made up of choices, and if you choose to use them, good for you. But I'm basically just here to be like, we need to think about it in a different way. Like, why is it that when I grow up, I have to be like, now I can drink, now I can smoke, now I can cuss, now I can do this, now I can break all the rules that had been put when I was younger. It's one of those things where it's like, why do I say younger? But it's one of those things where I think about a lot. It's like we feel like all these things are constricting us, right? And sometimes maybe they seem like constrictions, but I'm learning more and more that all of these things that are constricting are actually protection. um and so yeah, that's basically what it is, because I actually ask myself quite a bit, and that's a question that I kept asking myself: is me cussing being a good representation of what God stands for? And maybe that's being hard on myself, and maybe that's just being difficult, but I think ultimately it's just one of those things where I'm choosing not to, and sometimes maybe I will, sometimes it'll slip up, sometimes, and I think also depending on what content you are taking in, honestly, some of these things actually mess with your brain. Like, it's not I used to hear people saying, oh, you know what, but it's true, garbage in, garbage out. And I'm not saying anything is garbage, but like literally anything you take in will more than likely come out. So you just have to be careful with what you're taking in. Like, it's something that is so so important, I think. So something I wanted to do to end this video, as you can tell, I'm trying to keep my videos quite short, but something I wanted to do to end this video is go through Bible verses that basically talk on, like, I actually just googled Bible verses on saying profanities or something like that, and so I picked out three that I felt were relevant for this conversation. So I'm just going to go through them. So the first one is Colossians 3 verse 8, which says, but now you must put them all away: anger, wrath, malice, slander, and obscene talk from your mouth. And that's the thing, I think people justify cursing by saying, I do it when I'm angry. And I'm not here to judge you, because if that's what you do, that's what you do. There's nothing I can do about it. But I think for me, it's more just having this conversation of, why are we so okay with doing these insane things when we're angry? And actually, I saw a post or something, or I had someone saying, if you want to know someone, then you know them when things don't go their way, or something like that. Like, someone's true colors come out when things don't go their way. So essentially, that's when you're angry, that's when you're upset, that's when kind of stuff. So if you're cussing when you're angry and you're upset, that's when you've sort of like lowered your inhibitions, right? So you're just like in this place where you don't have control, and that's what you're doing. So I don't know if it's a good thing that you cuss when you're angry or not, because and then this thing that I'm saying is basically something I went through in my head. Like, is it okay, like, if I cuss when I'm mad, or when, okay? So the second verse is James 3 verse 10, which says, from the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brother, these things shall not be so. And I think that's a thing. Like, if we're saying good things, and if we're talking about God, why would I use the exact same mouth to curse, or like to curse at my brother or my sister, or just curse at somebody else or something, or a situation or whatever? So that's a thing, right? And the third and last verse that I wrote down is Matthew chapter 15 verse 10 to 11, which says, and he called the people to him and said to them, hear and understand. It is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth. This defiles a person. And wow, that was a nice one to end on. Yeah, so that was just a really nice one to end on. I'm just going to leave it there because I don't want to water down this conversation. But let me know what you think about cursing and using profanities. I'm not the kind of person to judge. I know a couple of people who do. I know a couple of people who don't. I don't really mind either. I guess ultimately, at the end of the day, I just like to say that these are decisions that you're making in your life, And that's the thing we all have to remember. We all have a choice to make. We can't say the world does this, or like I saw this there. And I guess when you're a child you can. And I think it's unfortunate that I started using cuss words, or like the first time that I think about using it, I was maybe 13. Because when you're a child and you're still developing, some of that stuff just like grows with you, right? And you keep using it and keep using it when you're with your friends and not with your family. And you keep thinking that if I say it when I'm with my friends and not my family, then it's fine. But the truth is, I think either way it's a choice that you're making. But when you're younger, you don't feel like that's a choice. I think now I feel like I can make the choice, and it's hard to stop, I guess. But yeah, ultimately just think about your life as choices that you're making, and nothing is stopping you from doing what you want to do, and nothing is forcing you to do something else. You just have to make choices to make your life better. So yeah, that's about it from this conversation. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it didn't make you too uncomfortable. It makes me a bit uncomfortable because I know the people who watch these videos, so it's a bit like like I'm a bit scared. But I think I'm learning more to just be myself and just be, like just be. It's important. It's so important. And like eh, yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more content, turn on the notification bell so you can get notified every single time I post a new video. Bye.